Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivamy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a questionable piece of heroic television or film. We're going off topic, really, this week, is what we're saying.
If Kevin McAllister is not a hero, I don't know who is.
He's child Batman, to a certain degree.
Yeah, he's got traps and plans and utilities.
He might be further along at his fight against crime at his age than Bruce Wayne was at the respective age.
Didn't even need the trauma of the family dying. Just
No.
disappearing.
Just disappear for like a week. For like a week.
This really does explain some Robins. You think little kids aren't going to be crime fighters?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And then you see Kevin McAllister and you're like, no, they could do it.
Maybe Batman saw this movie and was like, they could do it.
I believe in children.
Yeah. This filled Bruce with the spirit of Christmas and the power of children and youth.
So that's how it relates to superheroes, guys.
Clearly, we're not stretching by any means.
Also, Merry Christmas.
Also, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We hope you've had a wonderful holidays. This is going to be released, I believe, on Boxing Day, so I hope you're out there just punching people.
Oh, rock 'em, sock 'em.
Absolutely. Punch their faces clean off. That's why it's called Boxing Day, and we all know it.
I like the dichotomy of like the most joyful, happy, warm day of the year, followed by like a Purge-esque Fight Club day.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, that should be the Purge Day. Boxing Day would be the Purge Day. I agree with it. The title kind of comes together nicely. Although Boxing Day is more of like, I don't know, Canadians seem more aware of Boxing Day than Americans. It's more of a Canadian thing.
This feels slightly more Canadian. So if you guys don't know, it's just the day after Christmas. I don't know. What is it?
It's just day after Christmas. That's it.
Just still don't go to work.
Yeah, that's it. But I think it's more of a I think it has more urgency in Canada because like we have bigger or at least like from like a consumer corporate standpoint, Boxing Day sales is when the big sales in Canada are.
Yeah, and we don't have Black Friday.
Yeah, traditionally we haven't had Black Friday. You know, the past like decade things have changed a little bit, and obviously American culture, sales, and commercialism has a huge influence on us. But it used to be that like you guys had Black Friday. Boxing Day was our thing. That was our big sales day.
Boxing Day was the day you go to the Canadian Tire, or you camp out, and you're like, we're gonna get a TV for $12.
We're gonna
do it.
Or like it was also just the like, I'm gonna go get the thing that wasn't given to me.
That too.
Yeah. I'm gonna fill the void that was left over this holiday.
Goodbye, family.
Goodbye. I will be back.
Treat myself.
Do. Or you use that sweet card money. You know, sometimes there's a little card money coming in. But we digress.
We decided to do Home Alone.
We decided to do Home Alone because it is a bit of a blank spot in the calendar right now. There's not a lot of superhero movies being released over the next little while, and TV shows as well. So we're like, let's have a little fun. Let's do a little holiday spirit and do a little bit of Home Alone. And then also January is just going to be like a fun vibe of a few different things that are going to be going on to give you a heads up. So in January, we are going to be starting with RoboCop. We are also going to be doing Alita Battle Angel. We will also be doing Iron Giant, and we will be doing Terminator Salvation. So a bit of a robot theme. To kick off the new year.
There are no new releases in January that we're aware of, so we're gonna do robots and hope that they don't take over the world. And if they do, we'll have them covered.
We're going to figure it all out in January. But we're going to talk about Home Alone here today on the podcast. I'd say let's just get right into it.
I can't wait to get into Home Alone. This is ridiculous.
Let's talk about Home Alone. All right, we have watched Home Alone as our holiday viewing, as it is easy to do during the holidays, because that movie is all around. That's floating around places.
It's around. It's a good length. 1:45. Maybe it doesn't even need to be that long, but it's a good length. It's easy to find. It's a breezy watch. It's like a movie you can talk through and be like, I didn't miss anything.
Ooh, it is a movie that you can talk
And I'm
through.
not being an asshole. Like, we can just talk through Home Alone.
It's a background vibe. You know what I mean? Yeah, like
we all know where it's going. There's going to be traps.
Yeah, a lot of Christmas stuff, like, you can tune in and out. Like, that is, like, part of the idea of, like, you throw on a Christmas movie in the background during a thing. But this is, you really can pick a moment to just come in and play. Well, let's... Home Alone. First of all, like, what's your relationship with this? Like, is this a big holiday one for you? Do you anything this?
I kind of medium Home Alone. I've seen it a few times. I feel like I don't have any strong feelings towards it either way. I think I have stronger feelings towards Lost in New York. I had a talk boy.
Oh.
So like every time I'd use it, I'd be like, I'm not Kevin McAllister, but like it's such a distinct look to the talk boy that you'd be like, from Home Alone 2.
Are they called talk boys? I thought they were called talkbacks.
No, talk boy.
Talk boy. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
very gendered.
Wow.
Didn't care for it.
Interesting.
Actually, you know what? There was a talk girl. It was purple and pink.
Oh, snap.
So
They gendered them.
I had the silver talk boy, and now that I recall.
So you had the boy version.
If I do recall, I think the talk girl came way later, like talk boy from the movie.
Okay.
So I had the talk boy. So
Which connected you in your heart closer to Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
It was the kind of scampery I like. I don't want to hit someone with a paint can, but I will record evidence of you saying things.
I've always said it about you.
I'm doing it right now.
That's a classic Diana.
I'm still recording things into a microphone, Andrew. Maybe I wouldn't even be here if not for Home Alone 2.
Classic.
But
Home Alone 1, not quite as much,
Home
though.
Alone 1, like, I've seen it a few times. I think it's fun. Nothing like but just didn't go into the holiday rotations.
Yeah, and it's
What
kind
about you?
of it's kind of the same for me. This isn't a big holiday one for me. This is one that definitely I've seen it a million times. It was on TV a lot during the holidays. In the days of always just leaving basic cable on in the background during family gatherings. So there was a lot of like pop into a scene, in and out type of a Home Alone vibes. But this is not one for me. This is not only is it one that's not in my rotation, it's one that I would not seek out. It doesn't quite match my vibes for the holidays. But we can unpack that more in a moment. But Diana, did you like it?
I do like Home Alone. Yeah, it's a wild movie and not at the same time. You're like, this is not from a heightened universe, but by the end it is from just an unreal, absolutely unbelievable like universe that you're living in. And it's definitely a movie that like just gets better as it goes. Like the movie opens, you're like, this is too hectic. They're too mean to this kid. Oh my God, what is happening? And then like he gets more charming. Things happen. Eventually all the traps. And you're just like, this was a ride. I had such a good time. I Home Aloned very, very well. So yeah, I definitely liked it. I'd watch it again. I don't know if it's still going to go into the Christmas rotation, but like, it's a fun romp. I like a romp. Andrew, did you like Home Alone?
I like half of Home Alone.
Yeah.
I like half of Home Alone. I think all of it is done well. I respect all of Home Alone. I think that this is very well executed, and it accomplishes everything it sets out to. But I really only like the second half. I feel like Harry and Marv are the core and heart of this movie. And
the heart of the movie.
I even felt so as a kid, where I'm like, Harry and Marv are where the comedy is. It's their slapstick. It's their physicality. Without their comedic response to the traps, like, this movie is nothing. And in fact, the first half of this movie, it makes me actually very sad and uncomfortable and kind of miserable. And it always has, even as a kid, where I'm like, the first half of this movie is a family of people who just kind of flat out abuse one another. They're abusive. It's not even like the Griswolds, where like the Griswolds are trash, and trashy is different than abusive. Trashy is like, we're a little mixed up, but maybe we love each other, but we show it in dumb ways. This is all sociopaths to the point where I'm hoping the plane goes down. I'm rooting for no one, and I'm just kind of depressed about the holidays and the way people treat one another, I'm going to say, for 45 minutes of this movie. And then Harry and Marv start doing slapstick comedy, and it's like, whoop, 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 whoa. And I'm like, you fell down the stairs in a terrific way. That's so funny. And it's over the top, and it is heightened, and it is only their heightened performances that make this movie watchable for me. Everything else is too real and miserable. I don't like it.
I will agree that it is I love this comparison of like trashy to mean, because yes, the Griswolds are a little bit like we're kind of all idiots, but none of us are mean-spirited.
Yes,
None of-
from the National Lampoon series
Yes,
/
Christmas
Christmas Vacation, for those
yeah.
of you who didn't.
Which is like, I think, our biggest holiday movie that we watch in this house. And
For
like
me, for
that,
sure.
Yeah, that family is very much like, we love each other and we're kind of idiots. This family doesn't love each other.
No.
They are obligated to hang out at the holidays and they hate it. And they have no love for each other.
They are intelligent enough to know how to express love, and they actively choose not to do it every day. They wake up and choose violence.
Every day.
Whereas the Griswold family are like, I love you, and I do not know the normal way to express this, and I am so sorry that we are all trapped in this together.
Yeah, I love you, so I bought 1 million twinkle lights. And no one wanted that or needed that, but your intentions were good.
Yeah. Whereas this is like, I'm like, you're all sociopaths. You're all sociopaths. I wish you great harm in life.
Yeah, none of you are thinking, and they're mean to Kevin, but also like no one's nice to anyone. Like
Kevin's
no one-
also a piece of shit.
Kevin's a piece of shit, but like it's not like he's the only one. So like I don't know why they pick on the youngest member of the family when Buzz is there being an absolute asshole to everybody. It's like we should pick on the bully who's like almost an adult and not the 8-year-old child. The adults even hate Kevin, which is crazy. He's 8 years old.
Buzz has an openly displayed gun, pornography, and fireworks, and he's like 14. Fuck this kid.
He wants to go to a nude beach in France. And he's like eating people's pizza and telling lies about the neighbors. And they're like, but Kevin wanted some cheese pizza.
He wanted a cheese pizza.
He wanted a single slice of pizza for supper.
Yeah, and that was it.
That
So yeah,
was
the
it.
family's trash.
The family's trash. I don't think it ruins the movie for me because I think once they're gone, I have such a sense of relief. Like when Kevin gets sent up to the attic, it's mean and a little unfair to send him away like all of Christmas. But at the same time, I'm a person who just loves being alone so much that I'm like, that attic seems delightful.
Oh.
Away from these 14 assholes? This isn't a punishment?
I would actually, if the robbery did not occur, which is obviously a big, like, I'm not saying it makes it a better movie. It does not make it a better movie.
Andrew, what would you change about Home Alone? No robbery.
The robbery is necessary. Hypothetically.
I want to see Home Alone with no robbery.
I want that for Kevin.
Just a bad mom.
Yeah, you know what? Let's have it end with a mom being arrested for being a terrible mom, and that's the movie.
The dad, too. I'm not going to be gendered.
Yeah,
in
that is true. That is true. But I would say that if the robbery did not happen, it sincerely would be maybe the best week of Kevin's life thus far.
Yeah.
And the most memorable and only a little traumatizing. Like, you bring that up with a therapist later, you have some trust issues around it. But it sincerely is, until and without the robbery, a coming-of-age story where he sincerely learns to believe in himself and his entire family that have called him a useless idiot. And he realizes, he's like, no, I'm actually smart and self-reliant. I have been beaten down by these terrible people. I'm good. And like, he learns to believe in himself despite the constant emotional abuse he has suffered his entire life. So I think that like without the robbery, Kevin is a character who is actually much better off in life for this having happened and has a really nice week without being abused.
Yeah, I will totally agree with that. Yeah, he finds out he's like a strong, independent young man who can do things on his own, like chores that you don't need to do as a kid. Like 9-year-olds don't need to know how to do laundry. You're not useless. Like,
yeah,
that's not I didn't know how to do laundry until university. Sorry, Mom.
Yeah.
It never came up.
And not just do laundry. He went out and picked up fabric softener. He wanted the fabric to be softer.
He didn't want that harsh fabric.
He wanted to do it right and to the best that he can.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, like, as hilarious as it is that he unnecessarily purchased fabric softener, because it's a week, you know, and how often are you really doing your sheets?
More so than purchasing it, I'm saying getting it home. I'm a grown woman and I get fabric softener delivered because it's heavy.
It's a hefty boy.
And I don't want to carry it home.
Yeah.
So, like, that's your whole load.
Or at least
that you
like
bring back.
he learned a lesson in the sense that you don't keep that one in the plastic bag.
They all broke.
Because they all broke. There's a
the
reason
milk
that you
and
got the
the-
separate handle. The milk and the fabric softener have that handle. You want to carry that
Its
independently.
own bag.
He learned some lessons there. But I think it goes to show that like it's a character beat of like he is actually taking pride in taking care of himself in this household. And that like not only is he not useless, he actually finds joy in how useful he is if given the opportunity.
Yeah, he is a boy who seems to like routine. Like he gets up every morning and he has a shower and he does his little shaving scream and he's like, "No, I've made a nice routine for myself. I make breakfast, I fuck up the house, then I clean the house." It is lovely that he is not just trashing this house. It's like it does make it a wonderful story about Kevin.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, this is a question I have though. Now, you talk about how Kevin might be traumatized later. I think the lack of trauma is coming from, in this movie, until the point we see, I think the lack of trauma is coming from, I think he sincerely thinks he wished his family away. When Kevin finds out they left him and just forgot him, that's a different trauma.
Ooh, yeah, you got me there.
That's a different movie where you're like, wait, what? Vans picked you up and took you to the airport and you just didn't wake me up? I thought I magicked you away from here. So I need the fallout of that because it doesn't come up in Home Alone 2.
This does make sense. Yeah, he does believe in magic for all of this movie, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel like a part of him like doing so good is trying to like earn his family back.
I get that. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he goes up to Santa and he's like, I tried to be a little bit better. And like he tells the neighbor, he's like, I was kind of shitty. He's like, maybe if I'm better, they'll come back. But like he also seems to like genuinely, like it doesn't seem like it's a chore.
Yeah, I
He's
agree.
like, no, I take pride in this.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, in a world without magic, it's something that he would still do. But I agree. He does think that it's magic, and no matter what, he will need to see a therapist later in life to unpack all of this. But yes, he does. He does kind of think magic is real, which does lead me to one thing that might make the first half of the movie a little bit more palatable for me, but the movie doesn't quite lean into it fully. Is that it's entirely possible this family are not the villains that they are made out to be. And the first half of this movie is just kind of a metaphor of the perspective of the youngest child of a large family. Even in the fact that we as an audience legitimately see a furnace talk to Kevin in an attempt to scare him. I think it is also entirely possible that these are misremembered and misunderstood interactions with his family. And no one ever said that, but this is just about how you feel as the youngest in a large family, or how you feel just as a child in general when you're at that age where you can't do things that other people around you might expect you to be able to do, or you even have like friends or classmates maybe who are learning a bit quicker than you. So it might just be more of a vibe and a metaphor than anything, because we do at a couple points throughout this movie, but not enough for it to like steadfast be a clear thing. But we do at several points see things that are not real. We do see things that are 100% not reality. So it is also possible that this is just the lens of a kid.
I can kind of get what you're saying, because I will say, like, not things that aren't reality, really, but, like, they are a little bit wrong. The furnace is a great example. Like, the furnace obviously isn't alive and doesn't light up and make those sounds. I also will say when the family first disappears, he has little, like, brain flashbacks to things everybody said. Those are retakes that are a little bit more intense than the scenes they happened in.
Oh, okay,
Like,
okay.
everyone's line is like redone straight to camera and a little bit meaner than in the actual scene it happened in. Like Uncle Frank is like, "You little jerk," and he wasn't really nice in the scene where it did happen, but his memory of it is even worse, and that's true for each one of the 4 or 5 bad memories he has. So like there is a little bit of skewing, but the fake memory popping up makes me think that what happened was what was real. If when he flashes back to it, it's a little bit worse, that makes me think I saw the real thing.
Yeah, I could get on board with that. This is what I'm saying, where like
It's not leaned into. It would make sense.
It's an idea that makes me a little bit more comfortable with how uncomfortable the first half of this movie is, but it's an idea that isn't solidified or set in stone throughout the course of this movie.
That's fair, because I will say when Kevin's not around, the family is very like there's a lot of them, but they're way more relatable and likable. Like they have really logicked out how they could leave this kid behind without any criminal negligence.
Yes.
Like he was alone upstairs, the power went out, we were all rushed out. That kid sitting in for the head count,
Yeah.
kind of brilliant.
His passport got accidentally thrown out with the spill and the accident that
so
occurred.
Like it wasn't like they had an extra ticket in their hands. They handed off just enough tickets. 2 vans, so the parents don't notice he's not in their van. They're like, oh, he's probably in the other one. We have 6 kids. We didn't. The other girl said she did a head count. So they really covered all their bases of like, I don't really like you should check every single one of your kids are there, but like the most understandable it could be.
Yeah, I fully
really, really well logicked out.
Fully agree. The movie does a brilliant job with how this occurs without them being the worst people in the world.
And the power outage cutting off the phone line so they can't even call Kevin to be like, we're going to come home or go to a neighbor, call 911, like do something. Like really like tight.
It really does work. It really does work in that regard. I will say that I still think this family is the worst.
Well, yeah.
Because one of the other reasons, they do try to call their neighbors to check on Kevin, and all of their neighbors are also on vacation. A whole block of people on vacation. But the fact that there is 15 of them, 15 people from Chicago do not have one human friend in Chicago. How unlikable are you to get 15 people in a room and not one of you know one person, one single human who could drive over there to check on Kevin? And I understand that your neighbors are gone. A friend with a car.
Anyone in the Chicago area, a coworker.
A bartender whose bar you're a regular at. So you have to be so miserable. The book of contacts that the mom gives her sister or stepsister or whatever the relationship is, the address book she gives is like 500-page thick address book. No one answers her calls.
No.
You are a miserable friend, family member, and coworker if December 21st someone sees you calling or like knows you're in Paris, sees a number from Paris calling, is like, fuck you. I am not calling you back. I am not responding to the answering machine message. Everyone hates these people.
If this woman left answering machine messages for dozens of people and they were all like, I'm not checking on this woman's kid, that's crazy.
Yeah. 15 people. Not one of them has a friend.
A friend. Just anyone who could knock and be like, Kevin, you know me. I work with your mom. I'm not a burglar.
Yeah. Yep. A friend. So they're all truly miserable in that regard.
They also must be miserable because I understand why Kevin is afraid of Shovel Neighbor. But Shovel Neighbor's home. So that means the parents didn't try to call their direct neighbor. They don't have his number because he seems like a very nice man who immediately would have come over, and Kevin would have been scared, but he feels like he would have been like, I'm gonna watch your son.
Yeah, I'm a reasonable man. I salt the neighborhood.
I'm the nicest man in the neighborhood, and you don't have my phone number. You don't talk to me.
Because not just his driveway. They establish he salts the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's why he's in front of the house. He's got that. He's salting their steps.
He's the most popular guy. He may still be a bit of a recluse, like a bit of an older guy, but he is someone that you call to go check on your child. He's the person everyone in the neighborhood knows.
And also, if you have a house full of 15 people and your neighbor is an older man who lives alone and salts the sidewalk, you should be like checking on him or at least saying hi or thanking him on the street. Like you should be able to be like, call the neighbor with the shovel. He's right there. He's always there. Like kids would be scared of him, but adults would know that's a normal man.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a normal lonely man.
Absolutely. But this is a family that no one likes.
Oh, and the other point you said that was so I have to emphasize is they're not calling on Christmas Eve.
No, it's a few days before.
Yeah, so they get to France and they're trying to get someone to see Kevin because I can understand not picking up Christmas Eve.
I would actually
not being home.
I would say Christmas Eve though. You're still getting calls from family to wish you Merry Christmas or whatever. You might be picking up, but still.
I guess you might not be home though.
Yeah.
It's more likely. But yeah, to for 4 days not be able to get a hold of a single person in the city you live in?
This family does not have a single friend.
They don't have any friends.
They are the most hated people in Chicago. I'm going to say that.
It's really veering back towards they are probably abusive towards Kevin.
Yeah.
And
I know
he is not imagining things.
And I know that these are all just like goofs that we're having here for the most part. But I will say that like 70% of these goofs we're laying out do make me legitimately uncomfortable watching this movie and do make me feel just sincerely sad. It makes me feel sad.
That's
I
totally
don't like
fair.
seeing a kid being abused in a movie. It doesn't make me feel good and
I don't think
doesn't give me the
that's-
Christmas tingles.
I don't think that's a weird thing to say, babe.
Thank you.
I think that's really nice and emphatic of you.
But for how much society loves this movie, it does seem like a weird thing to say. To be like, I actually don't like how uncomfortable it makes me. It feels like that's not a common perception of this movie.
Yeah, but I think society is just like the fun traps. The society forgets about the first half as soon as the fun traps start happening.
Because Harry and Marv are the movie. They're the movie.
Well, they're the movie, and also, like, right after they start picking up momentum is also when John Candy joins the movie.
Yes.
So the second half of this movie is just backloaded with Harry, Marv, and John Candy.
It's just comedy duos.
It's just all the... Oh, because Catherine O'Hara, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just two comedy duos and, like, Macaulay Culkin also doing, like, a very good job. And this movie just cranks along.
Culkin is so good on his own. Pesci and Stern are a great duo. Candy and O'Hara really work together, and it's way better than all of the family stuff. Absolutely. And John Candy, getting to basically do Plane, Trains, and Automobiles slightly again, improving seemingly all of his lines, but in a delightful way.
It is such a long take when he goes through all of the polka songs he's written. Dance polka, 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 polka mountain. Like, there's no way every single song you've written has the word polka in it.
Yeah.
There's no absolute way.
What he says, he's like, we sold like 680 CDs, so I thought you might know me. Oh, you sold them in Chicago? No, Sheboygan. When he comes up with a new him getting further away from any reasonable place for Catherine O'Hara to know him
I think
is good.
That's fair, but I think it is more impressive to sell a lot of CDs in a smaller city. When you think about it. Anyone can sell 600 CDs in Chicago.
Right.
You go to a town with like 2,000 people, you sell 600 CDs?
That is you make a great point in the like per capita
The per
idea.
capita CD per unit?
Yeah, in Sheboygan or Sheboygan or wherever it was.
Everyone in Sheboygan knows this guy.
Yeah. And a delightful character, too. Just like a friendly guy who wants to help out, who is just illegally transporting a polka band in a U-Haul on Christmas Eve.
This so easily could have been a human trafficking scenario.
Yep.
On Catherine O'Hara's part.
Yeah. But this is where the movie shines so much. The absurdity of duo comedy. It works so good to be like, we are in a U-Haul with a polka band.
And she's like, costs $1 million. She's got all of this jewelry. She still looks incredible. She's like clearly a very rich woman. And they're like, polka, 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 polka.
Him trying to get her to play a flute in the back of a U-Haul.
No
Yeah,
flute.
when he's like, we're on the road like 50 weeks out of the year. Marv's never seen his kids. For 20 years they've been on the road. And it's just like the absurdity is where this movie shines, and it's all in the back end, and it really does make this a fun movie for me. And it does kind of remind me of like when this movie didn't bother me was at a time in my life when, like, during the holidays, this would be on cable television or something, and the first half of the movie is when I would phase out, not pay attention.
Yeah, there's no reason to.
And then over-the-top, heightened comedy would happen, and I would really fall into this movie in this latter half.
Yeah, in the first half, I think the only parts I, like, clearly remember are, like, Fuller might pee on you. I don't know why that really stuck with me as, like, a thing I would not want to happen. And the only early thing he does is like when he tricks the pizza guy for some unknown reason and pretends to shoot at him, which is just like an early prank. So really just the pranks stick with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you can just like phase out the rest. You're like, is he doing a prank yet? No? All right, I'll come back.
Yeah, I'll come back for the pranks.
I'll be here for pranks.
Which hit pretty late, yeah.
And so violent.
Incredibly violent.
The movie picks up so much violently because the rest of this movie is so gentle even though it's abusive. Like, Kevin never has, like, he doesn't have any hard falls, or like Buzz doesn't have a hard hit earlier. Like, there is nothing, the only impact is on that stupid statue in front of their house.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it's like blow torches.
And Kevin does have that one fall on Buzz's shelves,
Oh,
but he
yeah.
falls out of frame. Even then, they're like, we don't really want to hit you home with this, with the child being hurt through a fall.
Yeah, definitely that is more about him breaking Buzz's stuff than him, like, taking a fall.
Yeah, more of a setup than
Because
anything
even when he,
else.
like, when he slides down the stairs, he's absolutely fine. He's like, that's great.
Yeah, whoa.
Oh, boy.
And that's it. But yeah, I really do think a lot of credit for this movie, and like there is a lot good. As much as we've kind of goofed and dunked, and I say that the first half doesn't make me uncomfortable, it's still a brilliant movie, and I think a lot of credit, as I've been mentioning, does go to Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, where it's like they got this, they understood slapstick, they went over the top, they went heightened. And it's just kind of remarkable where, like, I think Pesci and Stern are two people who get comedy, but it is wild for you to stand out in a movie with Catherine O'Hara and John Candy. You know, for two comedy legends to be in this movie, and for me to be like, Pesci and Stern, though, that's the duo. Not the SCTV stars and founders, but Pesci and Stern.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what you're given to work with. John Candy has maybe 4 lines, so like he would be more memorable if he had much to do. Catherine O'Hara is giving nothing comedic to do.
Yeah.
And really did not need to be cast in this role, even though it's a comedy for the most part. Actually, considering she's a comedian, you would think that like the mom would feel more lighthearted and warm. This feels like the way a dramatic actor would play a mom.
I agree with that.
But Stern and Pesci are so good. They're given so much to do. Like, you're reacting to such large, absolutely huge things, but they are reacting in such big ways. Like, we know we're in, like, not a children's comedy, because, like, children can enjoy it, but it's, like, it's in this weird place where it's for everyone. But, like, also they're back and forth of, like, I think my favorite part is the tarantula on Joe Pesci. Because, like, him having to be scared of it, but not knowing it's there and just begging to not get hit with a crowbar is this beautiful comedic misunderstanding that amps up so well.
Daniel Stern's scream with the tarantula on him is next level good.
I love the trivia on IMDb that says he checked with the animal wrangler whether tarantulas have hearing so that he could just scream his ass off.
And so high pitched, so like he gives it. Gives it.
That is a memorable scream. Yeah, that whole part of like scream to crowbar to Joe Pesci and just being like, Marv, what are you doing? Marv,
What are you doing?
what are you doing, Marv? And he's like trying to be like, it's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
It's like a mercy killing.
And even if he hit the tarantula, it would still be a crowbar following through into the ribs of your friend. Oh,
Who's
God.
got like a winter coat and a sweater on? Like the tarantula ain't getting through.
No, we're gonna be just
But you know
fine.
what? They've been through a lot. They're both concussed.
It's been a
They're
big
both-
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you don't have shoes, you can't step on a spider anymore.
I mean, you probably can. You got like tar to like.
Ooh, that is
You've
true.
got that nice layer of tar.
Yeah, when
You've
your
got
feet
some-
have been tarred.
You've got some bits of like Christmas ornament you can stab with.
Oh, you've got a knife foot now.
Knife foot.
Now you're dealing
The
with-
nail might still be in there.
Now
the
you're-
nail's too much.
The nail's too much.
The nail's too much.
Yeah, I look away at the nail.
We both looked
I
away
do
at the
not
nail.
like that
It's
the
such
nail
a
happens.
Big
I'm
nail.
okay. I playfully don't like that.
It's a giant nail.
It is so huge.
But I really do like yeah, the basement is so great. It's such a fun idea of like there's literally no way to get out of a basement if you can't use the stairs. But then so like you just cut and like the shoes are already in the tar. But like then you have to like be like he didn't even skip a step. Cause it's like one shoe, sock. It's like you start skipping steps at
Right.
the very least,
You
Marv.
find a new creative way to solve this
There's
problem.
railings on these steps. You can jump a single step. But
I d-
but the tar is a very good idea.
When he's slipping down the icy steps and he gets to the bottom and he's slipping and he like wedges his feet like a ninja warrior doing the spider.
Oh, yeah, the
doing the
spider.
jumping spider, but just like in the cracks of the wall. That is such a well shot scene too. Like that this movie is shot really well. I like everything that they do. Even the center framing, looking down the barrel stuff, everything is done for effect really well and hits really strong. So it's really smartly filmed, framed, edited as well. Just a lot of very like good awareness in the making of this movie.
Yeah, this is a movie made at like a top quality from like top to bottom in a way that you wouldn't expect from like a kid's prank movie. Like what should be just be like a Disney movie. Like it feels like this should be like Home Alone 3. Like when they do get rid of the budget and the good directors, and they're just like, it's just kids with tools and things, and we don't care anymore. But yeah, everything top to bottom is just like, I wish there was another word for Oscar quality, because I'm like, don't give this movie an Oscar, even though it did get it for the score. But
Yeah.
John Williams gonna get that Oscar nom.
And absolutely nailing it, creating, working with an iconic score that becomes synonymous with Christmas afterwards. Yeah.
But yeah, it is an incredibly high quality of just like set dressing, of directing, of like, incredibly well done shots.
And even just the foresight and the editing of the film, like the iconic scream, just kind of being a bad take of Macaulay misunderstanding the scenario, and them being like, no, that's
good.
That actually is good, and that
Gold.
works, and like, and the shot of like the van almost hitting him being reversed footage but like performed really well and not easily noticeably reversed footage. So there's just a lot of very clever filmmaking in here that is all in service of what this movie is. Like, it's not up its own ass. It's not trying to be too clever for its own good. It's clever for the function of a playful trap adventure movie.
It's clever in the way Kevin's clever. Like, Kevin is like, I'm going to set up some mannequins and make them dance. And, like, it's going to work great. And it's going to be a simple solution.
Yeah.
And it's going to look really good.
And to bring, you brought up set dressing for a moment as well. Even just clever establishment of every single prop that functions in this movie as well. Like, the mannequins in the parents' room. Like, the mother clearly, like, has like dresses on these mannequins in her room. So it's like, I guess, you sew or you do a bit of...
Her job is a fashion designer.
So there we go. But like establishing the mannequins, establishing the Michael Jordan cutout in Buzz's room, little things like this that are just kind of propping everything up, establishing the movie that the uncle wouldn't let him watch that we then rewatch, which is a mob movie that then becomes the callback through all of this. Just really smart work and really clever writing work and world set design to be like, here is everything that we are going to call back and need throughout the story.
Yeah, there is a very good job at that. But then there is also just stuff that is for fun, because I think the thing that I get stuck on, and I already brought it up, is that statue in front of the house that everyone who pulls into hits, and it's just for comedic purposes. It's never a reason that the robbers are hurt or caught. It's never anything that happens with the family. It is just this runner joke of there's a big statue right where cars pull up and they always knock it over. And it's literally just for fun. And I like that part. I like that there is just an unconnected joke that's running through this.
Yeah.
Because a lot of movies don't do that, of just this like joke that isn't about anything. It's just a funny joke.
Yep. And I think, especially nowadays, like that is a...
That's like a Ghostbusters era kind of thing that you do.
Absolutely. That is a very 70s and 80s comedy thing for, this movie was 1990. So it's like, it's one of the last of an era to kind of get that unrelated runner joke in there. So I think that does really work as well.
Yeah, the end of John Hughes doing all of his bits.
Absolutely.
And then just going away forever.
And then going away for a while. Another thing that is surprising about this as well is that during the opening credits, it even says like this is a John Hughes film. Mm-hmm. John Hughes, very famous filmmaker, also wrote Christmas Vacation as well. But the thing that is kind of like remarkable about Christmas Vacation and this is that John Hughes didn't direct them. And film is such a director's medium for it to be like a John Hughes movie and a writer to get top billing. And I realized part of that is popularity, but I didn't even know that was like legal. I thought like the Directors Guild was like the director is the author of the film. It's a insert name movie that has to be the director.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but he also he got to choose the director of this movie. I know that much. So he kind of, it's the same way you get to choose, your DP or whatever, but director is such a top one. I mean, I will say George Lucas only directed one original Star Wars.
Fair.
He wrote all three, though, right? Yeah, he
Yeah.
wrote all three, but he only directed one of them. So, like, sometimes you just get another guy in, and you're still like, but this is still mine. This is still
Yeah.
a John Hughes production.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, and like I see what you're saying when it comes to like a trilogy or a property or a
But
brand.
it's not like this
but
is Home
for-
Alone 2.
Yeah, I really I can't think of another example of like of a movie, just a singular movie where the writer is given the primary credit, the authorial credit, even though they are the author, more or less. But film is a director's medium.
I don't know. I just feel like you also have all these movies where, like, it can be someone's movie who only produced it. Like, that seems like it happens all the time.
With production, it becomes a little bit trickier and stuff in film where it's just like you can bring up producers, and a lot of the times you'll get the like from the people who brought you yada yada. So you'll get that, you know what I mean? But you don't usually get the writer, I find.
I think you do. I feel like I can think of examples if I had a second. Like, I feel like this happened with, like, a Quentin Tarantino Presents, and he didn't actually direct or write it. He just, like, funded it.
I mean, that was Natural Born Killers, and that was like a huge, like, Tarantino wanted his name removed, and that was a huge legal battle. That does happen occasionally
okay.
when a writer or director is like, I fucking hate what you've done, pull my name from this, and then it becomes a huge mess. So that does happen sometimes.
What about Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas?
Is he not? Yeah, he's not the author of that, is he?
I thought he, like, didn't direct it. Or did he not? No, I shouldn't have brought this up.
Ah,
I can't
yeah,
remember how it works.
Yeah, we don't know enough about Nightmare Before Christmas.
No.
We're not those people.
But anyway,
but even
either way.
But yeah, like the directors are normally like it's weird fans are like release the Snyder cut. No one's like release the Chris Terrio cut, who is the writer of Snyder's movies. So no one's talking about like releasing the Chris Terrio cut.
It is weird also because he is a director.
Yes.
It's not like he is just a writer who's known for his writing, like a Shane Black type. Although Shane Black directs it, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yes,
Question
he
mark.
does. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is also a director, so it is weird that he's like, this is my production, but I'm all in on it. I don't want to direct it. I don't feel like it.
No thanks. I'm out.
Just had fun writing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. That was just an interesting thing that I find about John Hughes's prevalence in the opening credits and how they present this movie.
Now, my questions about this movie, just like actually, this is just a very small writing thing. For the movie, I think could be a little bit shorter, and I do not know the point of the scene where he steals this toothbrush, because it is so pointless. And we've already established he's scared of the neighbor. His reactions every time he sees that neighbor is so good.
And that
The big gasp.
and that neighbor does a phenomenal job, Robert Blossom, of just doing kind of like wildly unpredictable eyes every time. So credit to that. Those are the eyes of someone where it's like, I think you're fine, but I am a little worried. So that is good. But yeah, I agree that the toothbrush scene is an easily cuttable scene.
Yeah, it didn't seem to go anywhere. I thought it was going to be some kind of like, now I relate to the robbers because I'm also a thief.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be a
It's
stretch,
just-
but I see what you're
it's
saying.
Like, or like a reason he couldn't go to the police now. Actually, that would have made a lot of sense of why that scene is there.
Right.
Because he calls 911, he doesn't even send them to his own house.
Well, I assumed he was afraid of the police because he saw Joe Pesci as a cop.
Oh, that makes sense too.
And he's like, I don't know who, like, I don't trust the cops.
Okay, that's a double down of not calling the police then.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I thought that was it. But I agree. I think toothbrush scene is cuttable, especially when the grocery store scene
So charming.
is much
So
more
good.
charming and I think does a better job of establishing I'm a responsible little man who's getting the things that I need to get.
What a funny guy.
Yeah, what a funny guy.
The way his dad describes it.
What a funny fabric softener. What a funny guy. So yeah, I think that the grocery store scene does a better job of all the things that the toothbrush scene does.
Yeah, the grocery scene is so much better. He's got a coupon. He read the news this morning. It's such a delightful scene. He won't tell this woman his address because she's a stranger. That whole scene works top to bottom.
Him just asking if the microwave dinners are any good as well. Like there's something so charming to that to be like, I want to have a nice dinner, but I can't cook. But I do want to know what the word on the street about these is.
I'll give them a shot. Such a thing I've said to a grocery store clerk.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, very, very much better scene.
Yeah. So I do like the grocery store scene. That really works for me.
That really, really works. I have a question for you. If you were a robber, Now you're not.
I thought you
but,
were
like,
going to say Home Alone.
No, you're
Knives.
home alone all the time.
Going right to knives. Skipping BB gun, and I'm going right to knives.
Yeah, but you're 9 years old.
Oh, okay. Still knives.
Still not. You'd have a knife in your back pocket.
Okay. All right. Thank you. But if I'm the robber.
But if you're the robbers, you're Marvin and Harry.
Yeah.
What point do you give up?
Oh, before it happens.
No, you are a robber though. You've committed to robbing.
Yeah. I have successfully robbed the other homes on this block.
Yeah, 3 out of 4.
They are having a party at the one that I had bad intel on. I burn the rest of the plan, and I do. From the second that fake party occurs, it's over. It is over. I had the belief that they were in Paris. They are clearly not. I've successfully robbed 3 places and have not fenced any of the materials that I've robbed yet.
The van was full.
Full of stuff. I have to empty the van first. So I'm the party. The party is when I'm giving up on that place.
Okay.
Assuming I went in, let's say the fake party doesn't happen, and I go in and immediately traps.
Immediately.
So let's say the
first
party
trap-
doesn't thing.
The first trap is BB gun to the dick, BB gun to the face.
BB gun to the dick, BB gun to the face. I'm leaving.
You're
I'm leaving because the kid hasn't seen my face, and at that point, you need to make a decision whether you murder a child.
It's getting close.
It's getting very close.
I mean, BB gun to the dick is immediately like you're kicking a kid's ass.
I would kick a
Especially
kid's
with
ass.
no parents there to stop you.
But a BB gun to the dick through a door, and I don't know if this kid's seen me. Maybe not. Maybe not. But these two being bad people, it's flamethrower head. Flamethrower head is when I'm out.
How do you keep going after flamethrower heads?
I'm done.
Even hand burn. You got to get to the hospital, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got the map to the Ark of the Covenant burned into your goddamn hand.
You got treasure to find.
Yeah, you can't hold things, let alone loot stuff. So you've got to go.
And this isn't my change, but it's the thing I just thought of that would help this whole scenario is if Joe Pesci had at least seen one particular thing in the house he wanted when he was there as the cop. If he was like, he's got a Babe Ruth baseball, I don't know, something small.
Sure.
Or something big. It's made of gold. I don't know. Like he's just so like, it's just a normal house. Like they're obviously well off, but like when they go through that house, it doesn't seem I'm like gold, silver, jewels. Like there's nothing crazy expensive just sitting around. It's like regular nutcrackers, normal coffee maker.
It's as nice as any other house on that block, I would say.
Yeah, it's big.
It's a little bit bigger, so there's a bit more stuff, but your van's pretty full as is. And also, you're not being careful with the stuff that you're robbing as it. And like, I get the idea that it's meant to be like a comedic pairing. Harry is clearly the brains, and a pretty good brains of the operation, I'm gonna say.
Oh man, this whole fake cop thing, like checking if there's like fake lights or if you're gonna be home, finding out when you fly out.
Case the neighborhood, also knowing that multiple neighbors are out as well. So to know that like no one's around to witness you break into their neighbor's place and you have multiple opportunities in one block. That's brilliant. Also, just like the amount of legwork and like investigation he's done, because this is the successful neighborhood, but he has cased dozens of neighborhoods to find this one block that has 5 vacations next to one another. Like Harry is actually I'm gonna say like a criminal genius. Like he's doing great work.
If Harry was not so like this is my white whale of a house, he'd do this forever.
Hubris.
Uncatchable.
Shakespearean, his downfall.
This is a classic tragedy. You know what? The arc that he goes on.
And then Marv is just an absolute fucking mess of a human being.
Moron who he should not be working with. Leaving a calling card? What are you?
Yeah.
And he's asking you not to every time? Like, how is Harry not the last one to leave the house after the first time it happens? You're like, get in the van. You're not setting the taps off.
No more water stuff. I own a very nice police uniform. I have aliases and costumes.
And you're not even using proper tub stoppers in the tubs. You're using just a cloth. There's definitely a tub stopper there.
You're wearing fingerless gloves.
To rob.
The most useful conceivable glove for a robbery. No glove would be more reasonable. But you're wearing a fingerless glove to a robbery.
Because no glove implies you didn't even think of gloves.
Yeah, and you're like, they're not going to dust for prints. Insurance is just going to buy you a new TV. And honestly, the police are going to show up and they're going to be like, oh, you had a TV stolen, you're rich, and you have insurance. I'm going to file a report. We're going to do nothing about it. Here is your piece of paper for insurance purposes. That is it. And then I get not wearing it. But a fingerless glove? Come on, my guy.
And also, like, I know you guys are like robbers, so maybe you don't care, but there's such a huge difference of like, we took all your stuff and we ruined your home.
That's a dick move.
Like, that house is flooded. The Murphys are going to get back from Florida and be like, oh, our basement's gone.
Yeah.
We're fucking wrecked.
We're wrecked. Back to Florida for us, I
Back
guess.
to Florida. And your kid seems cool. I like that kid.
Oh, that kid seems truly exhausting.
He seems like fun in a way just to like have in a scene though. Like the family.
Oh yeah.
The family was abusively exhausting. This kid is like kid exhausting.
Yes, this kid is fun exhausting.
And
the kid nails it
what's
too.
What's the 4-wheel drive on?
what kind of gas mileage does this van get?
He's just an old man in a little body.
And it's just the driver being like, kid, I told you to beat it. And I'm like, this kid is such a rich character. Like, I could see his parents in my mind's eye. I can see his parents over at their house being like, oh, it looks like something's going on next door. Why don't you go talk to those drivers? And the kid running out and the parents being like, oh, thank God. Oh, like those parents are definitely pointing that kid towards any stranger who walks onto their block.
That absolutely tracks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Even the people that everyone hates.
Yes, absolutely.
The kid doesn't even seem to know any of the McAllisters.
I mean, he wishes them a happy trip to
he
Paris,
does,
so
I guess.
they have that going
Oh
on.
no, I guess he couldn't talk to them because then they'd realize that he wasn't Kevin.
Yeah,
That's why he had to just stick his head in the car.
Yeah, he's just rooting through their stuff.
Kids. Fucking kids.
So tiring. And it's so funny, too. I really do find it sincerely funny that all of this work that Catherine O'Hara does to get home, and she gets home approximately 1 to 2 minutes before the rest of the family who just waited for a flight.
The family who managed all 15 to get a flight in 4 days.
Yeah.
Instead of just one person? This was the wildest plot point to me. Just being like, on Friday, all 15 of us can fly back. It's like, why would all 15 of you leave Paris?
One of you needs to go home and make sure that he's okay. Once Kevin's okay and has an adult, finish your vacation, frankly.
Yeah, you all got flown out here for free by your brother.
Yeah, the aunt and uncle, at the very least, should stay in Paris and not give a shit.
They have no reason to come back.
They don't have skin in this game. Who
No,
cares?
That's your kid.
Yeah.
They brought their kids.
Yeah. Have fun in Paris, you know?
Everyone should.
Yeah, but it does make it very funny that they show up just like a moment afterwards. And yeah, love the dad being like, what a funny guy. What a funny guy.
The dad seems like a good man.
Yeah.
The dad seems like the only non-piece of shit in this whole... He's like very reasonable. He's like actually nice to Kevin. He's like, well, go pick up your micro machines, but like in a nice way. He's like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have slippery toys in the hall.
No.
Another great establishing of the trap that was to come. Yeah, the movie does a really smart job of that consistently.
I think one of my last things, this is the smallest thing, and this is an incredible bit of filmmaking. That bit of donut on that phone.
Fuck, how did that happen?
To keep, like, I don't know if it was on purpose. And if it wasn't on purpose.
There's no way.
That guy continuing the scene with that giant chunk of donut on the receiver of his telephone?
To not break in that scenario.
Absolute professional. This guy's been at everything.
Yeah, Larry Hankin, a character actor that has just been all over the place for decades, does a phenomenal job of eating a donut and a bit spitting out, falling off.
I think it fell off during the bite. It wasn't like a chewed bit.
Yeah.
But it was like a Boston cream, so it had that like frosting top, and the frosting is what stuck it to the phone. And it's there the whole scene.
And
but
if
not in a way that you're like, the scene's about this.
And if you notice too, to the right of him, he like finishes half of it and lays the donut down to the right of him. And he has a stack of donuts to the right of him. Not a box. Not a box of donuts. I mean, like, the way that you would have a spindle of burnable CDs. He has a stack of donuts to the right of him, and he lays his half of a donut on top of the stack. And that's the funniest fucking thing to me. And it says that, like, it tells me that they needed to do several takes, and they stacked them because someone thought that that's also funny no matter what. And they were goddamn right. A stack of donuts, like a spindle of burnable CDs, is the funniest possible way that they could have done that. I love it. I adore it.
Sometimes comedy is just set dressing a scene with a lot of thought.
Yes.
Like, because that is just like either the director or the prop department being like, what if there's lots of donuts, but they're in a stack?
And
like, we don't, like, cops have donuts. That's not much of a joke, but we have to come up with a new way for cops to have donuts.
And I think even the simple layout of that scene of her calling the police station, and it's the police department, and then it's like the child care department, and there's just a panel of frosted glass, and them knocking on the glass and yelling at one another through it. That alone is also just like a really funny flow and chemistry for that scene. So that's just really intelligent set design as well. I love it. Tickles me.
Yeah, I feel like every scene you can pick a little thing and be like, this is why this movie seems like rich and well done and just very impressive from top to bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very, very well done. If it didn't make me uncomfortable in the first half, this would be a classic for me, but I'll always watch the second half on television because, goddamn, it hits that slapstick comedy well.
They nail it.
Yep. Well, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change. So now that we've discussed everything, what would you change about this if you could change anything? Before we do ask that final question, we will remind you, as we do every week, as a holiday gift to us, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, or wherever you might be listening to this right now. By giving us a rating, hitting subscribe, follow, or whatever terminology your podcatcher uses, and leaving us a review, you bump us up in the algorithm, which what that means, you hear everyone talk about the mysterious algorithm. Ooh, spooks and scares. But the algorithm, if you do these things, it is more likely to recommend us and have us pop up in the feeds of new potential listeners. So it's a big way of how we find new listeners. And then when new listeners stumble across, they will read reviews, and that really does make a difference as to whether or not new people give us a try. And that's really important to us, and it's a free way to support the podcast.
It's a free way to support us, and maybe you'll also end up giving us as a gift to somebody this holiday. They'll find us and they'll be like, thank you, person who left this review. Now I have found Talk from Superheroes, and I'm smarter and better for it, and I've had a good little chuckle.
And here we are. Ha 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 ha. And while you're there,
how y'all laugh, I assume.
Ha 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 ha. You're very proper.
Guffaw.
Guffaw.
Guffaw is my favorite.
Guffaw is a good one. And while you're there as well, give that holiday gift to a few different of your favorite podcasts. Maybe pick 3 or 4, because while you're there, it only takes a couple minutes to review and rate your favorite podcast. It makes a difference to every podcast you listen to.
There's 4 podcasts on this network. Just gonna throw that out.
You can do all of ours, but also spread the love.
There's also many other ones. There's also good ones we don't make.
Correct. And as well, if you want to support this podcast monetarily, you can do that over on Patreon. You've heard us mention it before. A monthly subscription service. You get cool bonuses depending on your subscription level, which you can cancel and change at any given month. And at the hero level, you get a bonus episode of this podcast every single month. This month, we did The Abyss.
Oh boy, James Cameron loves water. It doesn't love him back. James Water is like, get the fuck out of here, James Cameron.
And it very much does not love actor Ed Harris. So that is a wild, wild ride.
That was a very fun episode to do, at the very least.
Absolutely. So you are going to want to check that out. Our episode of The Abyss is up right now, but every month there's an exclusive episode for our patrons. And as well, when you sign up at the hero level, you get immediate access to our back catalog. So head on over right now to patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That's patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. Check out the different donation levels. Subscribe if you can. And thank you to all, and happy holidays to all of our current and future patrons.
Thank you so much to our patrons and listeners.
And now, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? Diana, what would you change?
I am going to make a change that maybe you will not agree with, depending on some things you said earlier.
Very intrigued.
Very intrigued. You said that you really liked how everything was kind of like foreshadowed or fit in. Like they established all the mannequins, they established the pop-ups, they did kind of establish the micro machines. My biggest change is that literally every trap gets foreshadowed in some way, because these kind of come out of nowhere. He's suddenly got a blowtorch. He's suddenly got tar. There's some of these, like the feathers and the chicken and the zip line. I'm like, where did any of these ideas come from? Where did any of these stuff come from? Why do you have tar? So I think my biggest change would be literally every trap would be foreshadowed. I would love if a lot of the traps were actually kind of just like, he wasn't being mean, but this is the stuff the family's mad at him about. Like, I think the micro machines was perfect, but we don't see it. We're just told about it. So, like, being told micro machines made someone fall, but that wasn't his intent, I think is perfect. I think if someone, like, trips on some ice in the opening and maybe he was in charge of salting it or something, like, every trap, I think, should be foreshadowed. And I think traps should be the reason the family's mad at him, to kind of, like, make it be like, no, wait, traps are good later. Like, everything I like has a purpose, and I've saved the house using the things I like. And they kind of say a few things, like they have another throwaway line about like he was in the basement burning something, which I think is like the torch and stuff. But again, we didn't see it, so it doesn't have any resonance later when he uses the torch again to burn Harry's head off. So just more foreshadowing on the traps and like have them, that's why the family's mad at him, I think would make more sense and kind of bring us full circle at the end and bookmark this. And that's my biggest change for Home Alone. Maybe they're not as mean also, but like that's my like biggest structural change.
I mean, I love and super agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was not a controversial one for me as well. You're agreeing with one of the things that I said earlier and asking for more of it.
I guess, yes, because like the paint cans also come out of nowhere. Like a lot of the traps didn't have any pipe light.
I get that. Yeah. The paint cans, I'm like, if you just had shown the unfinished basement earlier that kind of looked like a place that would have paint cans, I would buy into that. Paint cans aren't so bad. A jar of tar. I'm like, who has loose tar floating around? Was that a thing you had in the year 1990? Did Holmes have some extra tar?
Would the fumes alone not have knocked him out?
I thought you had to heat tar. So
Is it just loose in a jar?
I don't know about the tar. So I'm agreeing with you big time on this.
Okay.
Yeah, big time, I agree.
Okay, great. Because you said you liked that things were foreshadowed, so I was worried you were going to be like, no, they did such a good job of foreshadowing.
No, I think they did a good job on some things, and they could have done more on other things. Even when you bring up the micro machines or the toy cars, whatever brand name they had that they were using, you're right. They do mention it, but not show it, and it would be so quick to show it. I even like in my head immediately picture like the scene from Shaun of the Dead of like Shaun eating a cornetto and not looking up as he slips on blood, and he's just like, oh, there's a spill back there. Like that's it. Just be like, huh, Kevin, pick up your micro machines.
And then you're mad at Kevin, and maybe it's a little bit more justified because he's nearly killed everyone like 4 times with all of his stuff.
Yes.
Andrew, what would you change?
I love and adore what you got there. I think I'm 100% on board with that.
Thank you.
Mine is that I just want to feel less uncomfortable about the family.
That would be nice.
And I think that the way to do it is just to make it clear that this is how Kevin perceives how his family treats you. Because I feel like that is a very universal thing. To be like, no matter how kind or loving or how good a relationship you have with your family, being a kid sucks. And anyone being the slightest bit mean to you or snarky to you is the worst feeling in the world. It's truly miserable. Like someone being like, no, that was bad, is the worst reaming you could ever imagine. It is atrocious. So I would have preferred it if this family was reasonable in scenes that Kevin wasn't in, and the film kind of made it clear and heightened. And that's part of the reason why I like Kevin and Marv and the scenes with Catherine O'Hara and John Candy, where I'm like, these are heightened. And it's a little bit beyond reality. And I would kind of like that, to be like, maybe this family is normal, to be like, hey, we got to pay the pizza guy, or like, did everyone remember to pack their passports? And then we kind of cut to Kevin's perspective, leaving his room and coming in. And it's noticeable that these are different people. These are not the people that we see when Kevin isn't in the room.
Or have some kind of like camera angle that's like lower from his point of view, because he's like a foot shorter than everyone.
Yeah.
Like a Kevin camera.
Yeah. So I think something, and they partially do that where like the film looks down on Kevin for the first half of the movie, and then the camera slowly lowers throughout the movie as we kind of get on his level. I think that's smart and works. But yeah, I think just something to clearly delineate that like we are now looking at what a heightened child's understanding of people's flaws are, which is that like your father telling you to clean up your toy cars is actually incredibly stern and rude and really hurts your feelings, when in reality it was your father asking you to clean up your toy cars.
Yeah, your aunt tripped on them, and you really should clean up your toy cars.
Maybe your brother did eat the last slice of pizza, but didn't do it to intentionally make sure you couldn't eat today, but maybe that's how it feels when you're... So I think like making it be like, this is how you feel as a kid makes it a little more universal and a little less icky for me.
I love that. Yeah, a little bit more pulled from reality, heightened, and you're just like, no, this family is a good family. They just really fucked up with the power going out and everything. Maybe he could like find like a home movie and watch it and realize his like memories were wrong or something.
And especially with like, as he becomes, I love that. And especially like as he becomes more of an adult, you know, obviously he's still very much a child.
He's still an 8-year-old kid.
But it's to a certain extent a coming of age and coming of comfort story of him like being alone towards the end, having shopped and having confidence and realizing he can take care of himself, having a little bit of a different understanding, and then watching a home movie. Yeah, I think that's a great addition to mine.
I think that's really fun. I love that change. I think that would make it so lighthearted and like just a more reasonable watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do it.
Sweet.
Remake it, John Hughes.
Time. Dig him up.
Oh, R.I.P. I'm so sorry. I forgot you passed away. Genuinely
John
forgot.
Hughes.
I'm so sorry.
Remake it. Somebody else. Somebody else who understands Christmas. Please remake it. But also, we're fine. That is going to be it for this week. Just a fun little silly holiday one-off. We hope you're having wonderful holidays. We hope you're about to have a terrific New Year and a terrific 2023. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for being our supporters all through 2022. You are a wonderful group of fans, a wonderful group of listeners. Every little bit that you've done, from the reviews to the tweets to the comments to every way that you've interacted with us this past year, you've made a difference in our lives, and we hope that we've made one in yours. So thank you so much for being part of this network and this family.
Thank you so much, listeners. It means so much to us. You are the reason we do this, and it is so wonderful to have people who care about what we're doing and to support us throughout the year. And we'll talk to you in 2023 and have another great one.
Yeah, so we'll be talking to you in 2023. Next week we'll be back. We'll be talking about RoboCop, as we'll be doing a month of robots.
We will not. Next
No?
week is Witcher Blood Origin.
Oh, my mistake. Next week is Witcher. You know what? I'm leaving this in. Next week is Witcher Blood Origin.
Then
robots. So we'll be talking about Witcher Blood Origin next week. Thank you, Diana.
No problem. I was like, I want to watch the new Witcher show, please.
We'll be watching The
it
Witcher
stars Michelle Yeoh.
Blood Origin. So we'll be back talking about that next week before we then do a full month of robots. But The Witcher next week. In the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, you can find me on Instagram at Ivamey, Ivimey.
You can find me at Words of Diana pretty much anywhere.
And you can find both of us at From Superheroes. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.